Hello, world. The following is a conversation with Kansas City's own Chief of Police, Stacey Graves. Chief Graves grew up in Kansas City, Kansas, and is a proud J.C. Harmon High School alum. Shout out those Hawks. She began her public safety career at the lowest levels and has realized her passion for protecting and serving the citizens of Kansas City, working her way up to Chief of Police in 2022. Of course, this job does not come without some significant challenges. Chief Graves focuses on opportunities. In this conversation, we discuss her journey, her philosophy of Kansas City Police Department serving and protecting Kansas City, business break-ins, World Cup security, and the new jail coming. Thank you, Chief Graves, for your service. We truly appreciate you. This is Enterrupt KC. Enjoy this episode.
Welcome back to Enterrupt KC. You know what it is, the podcast where we dedicate ourselves to people, places, and things right here in Kansas City. My man JL, and you know I'm D-Rod.
Let's go, man. What's up, D-Rod?
Man, what's going on, man?
I'll tell you what, we did a lot of exercising before we got to this place, and that's
Jack.
great. You know, this is worth it. I look forward. You know, Jack. Shout out Jack, man. She's been with us, for several episodes now, because Nick stepped off. But
Jack made me walk about 3 blocks around the corner. I mean, I came up in front.
He was at 10,000 steps. Now he's at 18,000.
I'm at 18, man. And I came up to where we came in, and she was like, "No, we gotta go around." I'm putting Jack on blast. And anyways, I got my steps in, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jack.
Well, before we get going too far, man, first thing I want to do is tell everybody, please go back, watch our episodes, our last couple episodes.
Oh, yeah.
Josh Forshey, KC Tattoo Club, go check out that dude. Super talented. Half a day session giveaway with that episode, everybody.
Man.
Incredible artist. Incredible tattoo work, man.
Incredible work, man. He's giving away half a day. And you guys, if you watch that episode, you know what that,
Yes, sir.
how much that applies to, which is a lot.
Michael Garozzo. Come on, Garozzo.
Come on, man.
Forget about it. Forget about it, man. Incredible conversation.
Oh, it was
with Michael
hilarious,
Garozzo.
man. I loved it.
Man, so much personality, so many stories. I mean, I thought the city painted those Italian flags on the come to find out, no, he did.
He told a bunch of stories, man. It was fun.
That was incredible. But like, follow, share, subscribe, everybody. This is an incredible conversation. I cannot wait to happen, D-Rod.
Man, we got an incredible guest. I'm so excited to talk to this woman, man.
So why don't we interrupt our guest?
Let's do it.
And by interrupt, you all know we mean introduce our guest. None other than Chief Stacey Graves. How are we doing?
Hello,
I'm
Chief.
doing good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing fantastic.
I got some stories.
Oh,
I'm not saying I can stop Garozzo or
well,
I'd be better than his stories, but
listen, your reputation might precede you, Chief.
Yeah.
We have been told by numerous people she is an incredible person. I cannot wait to hear this episode.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah.
so
Thank
other
you.
people got stories on me. That's what you're
I
saying.
don't know. Maybe, but it's all good. It's all good.
Let's start this journey and see where
Okay.
it goes. All right. So we are Enterrupt KC, Chief. What we do is really try to start at the origins of people. Okay, everybody has a backstory, right? You didn't just wake up and I'm the chief of police out of nowhere, right? Let's talk about your origins. Where are you from? Talk about your childhood growing up.
I am from Kansas City, Kansas.
Okay.
I grew up over there in the Dot. I'm a Dot kid.
Shout out Wyandotte.
Yeah, I did elementary school over there. There was a small stint. I did live in Wyoming. It was like about 4 years. It was between the ages of 4 and 8.
Okay. Do you remember
but-
much of that?
I do. I remember mountains. I remember
Cold.
the stars. I remember the snow drifts.
Did you walk to school back and forth uphill, 12 feet of snow?
I did to the arcade. For those of you who are old enough to know, you walked to an
Let's
arcade
go.
and counted your
yeah.
change
Yes.
and put quarters on the machine.
Man.
Get in
Hey, to
line.
know your spot.
On the spot.
Same way in KCK. When I moved back, I lived in the Rosedale area,
Okay.
Shout out
and
Rose.
there was a 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
I used to walk to the store, buy my mom's cigarettes back when they would sell cigarettes
they
to
would let
kids.
you back then. Yeah.
Is that the one on 39? By KU Med?
No, the one by it was off Southwest Boulevard. It's not there anymore.
Okay.
But so I grew up in that area,
Okay.
Rosedale Middle School, and then went to Harmon High School. Graduated
You
there.
went to Harmon.
I'm a Hawk.
Harmon Hawk.
Okay, well,
See?
we man.
Yeah, see.
That's why I was like,
man,
I figured you got some stories on me. That's why I was kind of worried about it.
First, we got to check the credentials of a Harmon Hawk. Okay, finish this. Okay, you should know this. If you're a Harmon Hawk, I'm a Harmon Hawk. So, we're here. We're the.
We're the JC Harmon Hawks. Fighting Hawks. Yeah.
Oh, don't get me started.
And we had Mr. Daniels, and he would play whatever
go.
songs were on the
Shout
radio.
out
That's
Mr.
what
Daniels.
that's what our band would be playing. And back then it was. I remember our band was on the football field doing like the kid and play.
Yeah.
Mr. Daniels is great.
Did you do that kid and play?
Yeah, back then I
Was
did.
you a flag girl?
Yeah, well, my hair and my earrings looked like I was a flag girl.
Did you have the
I had huge bangs.
You had
I had huge bangs. I had curly hair. I had the bamboo earrings. I didn't care.
Oh, look at it.
Were you ever in the quinceañera?
Yes.
Does the name Angie Rodriguez ring a bell?
Yes.
Were you ever in that quinceañera?
Yes.
I was too.
You were? How old were you then?
I was the little brother.
You're Angie's little brother? Did
Yes.
you already know this prior to?
I don't know. Maybe.
And I'm the uncle.
It was really
Yeah.
nice to meet you guys. I'll talk to you later.
I mean, here's the thing.
We got footage now.
This is the beautiful thing about these conversations, Chief, is because, I feel like, man, you want to know how I know Chief Graves is a real one? Rosedale,
Yeah.
7-Eleven, buying cigarettes
Cigarettes,
at
man.
10 years old from mom. I mean, she's doing the Harmon chant.
Kid and play,
Quinceañera back in the 90s.
Bamboo earrings, man.
Hair. Come on, man. You a real one, Chief.
My canvas K-Swiss.
Let's go. You was pop locking too.
Oh, I was.
So I mean, Harmon, is this you and your mom growing up, or?
No, it was me, my mom, my dad, my sister.
Okay.
One
and
sister.
One sister, yes. Okay. And I'm the only one surviving.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
That's all right. Yeah. It's been.
My condolences.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm not trying to bring the mood down.
No.
But yeah,
Yeah.
So you're the only living out of all four?
Out of my immediate family, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's been some time, or?
It's been a year for my mom and probably about a year and 5 months for my sister.
Okay.
But I will tell you that, and I don't know, I hope that y'all haven't experienced the same thing, but I'm telling you, your identity is so wrapped up in your family members that you don't even realize until they're gone. You're like, who am I without these people?
Yeah. Right.
And it's just a feeling I don't wish on anybody, but that's life. I know they're still with me though.
Absolutely.
They're signs.
I mean, they're always going to be.
I believe in that 100%.
I mean, you clearly were close with your family, saying stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the journey through high school, and then I would say post high school. I mean, getting into the academy, things like that. Talk about that. What was the influences? What was the family structure, and how that dynamic worked for you?
So, my parents, probably didn't pay bills to pay for me to go to Penn Valley Community College.
Yeah.
I graduated from UMKC.
Right.
So they just made it happen for me, and always supported me. And I was a biology major.
Hey.
No, it wasn't a hey. It was a whoa.
I hated that class.
I was bought in.
I was a whoa like that myself.
biology.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What made you choose that?
I was just really interested in science.
Yeah.
Just the way that things all worked together,
sure.
even down on the cellular level.
Yeah, the molecular level.
But I really liked it, but it didn't like me. So I remember a law class I took in high school at Harmon, and I was like, you know what? God's telling me this ain't for me, and so are my grades. So I'm going to go ahead and just take a law class, and everything clicked. I was making A's, and I started the police department actually 28 years this April 15th.
Right.
28 years ago. And I was like, hey, I'll check this out. I was doing an internship at probation and parole.
Yeah.
And the officers on the phone, they were just so funny. You know, they sound like they're having such a good time. And I was working warrant services, so I'd send up the, we have this old system here where
with that air suction
yeah,
thing.
and you put
Like the banks used to have?
yeah, you put the paper warrant, and you're on the first floor, and you send it up to 8.
Whoa.
And so I would hear what was going on in the background. I'm like, what'd you guys get into? And it was just, they would just always make me laugh. And it seemed like they were out and about having a good time.
They're having fun.
Yeah. And I was like, I might want to do that. And then from there, I went to the police academy, and I never thought I'd be chief of police. And even probably a year before I put in for it, I wouldn't have necessarily chosen to be chief of police.
What was your family saying to you, though? I mean, you know, female police officer.
Yeah, you're a teenager.
This is a,
right.
I don't know if it still is. Maybe it still is. I mean, is it a male-dominant industry?
Yes, I believe we have 15% of women in law enforcement here at KCPD.
No.
Yep.
I mean, that dynamic back then, you know, it probably couldn't have been overly popular. I don't know, maybe.
I think my mom had more of a problem with it than my dad. My dad was a big influence on me. He was a Vietnam vet, and and he always taught me, like, you can do whatever you want to do. Like, you can do anything that boys can do. And I was like, okay. And he was like, you could be the first woman president. I was like, okay, I don't want to do that. But
take that off the list, Dad.
Yeah, so I think he ingrained in me, like, you know, I'll stand up for yourself, fight for what's right. Don't be, you know, wishy-washy, like you stand for something or you don't stand for anything kind of guy. And so I think that part was ingrained in me, and I think maybe that's what's come out since I've been in this position. And also, my mom was way before her time as far as like speaking out, seeing people as people.
Right,
you know, no matter who or what they are.
Just finding the value in people.
Yes, just loving people for people. And I learned a couple lessons when I was a kiddo. I remember there was this kid across the street, and I wasn't very nice to him. She was like, how do you think you made him feel? And I was like, okay, yeah, you're right.
Is he the boy that asked you to homecoming, and you was like, hell no.
I think he liked me, and I think I threw like a firecracker or something like that, and I got in trouble.
You threw a rock at him.
And I had to go apologize.
That's that Rosedale coming out of you.
Man, I'm telling you, it's that dot girl.
I'm from Rosedale, man.
The dot, man. That's that dot.
But, you know, those influences.
I mean, you know, the ethics and the morals, I guess, is what I'm hearing you talk about, right? I mean, that defined your character.
Right.
You know, kind of gave you some personality traits that maybe you didn't even know you had at that time, right?
Well, that and being that your
now.
father, you know, he was in the military, you know, I mean, that's something to be proud of and look up to as well.
Did you ever think about going to the military?
No, not really, because at that time I was on the science track. I was just thinking about that, and then, you know, God had another plan, and here I am. But it did work out.
So that early part of your career, Chief Graves, I mean, what does that look like for you, for people in that time? You know, is this like what year is this roughly?
98 is when I started the police academy.
98?
But I started working here in 97. So I was young, and just full of energy, and driven, and
nothing can stop
looking
me.
for purpose, and just wanted to do good, but then have fun doing it, and just have something that like has a purpose. And I didn't want to be, you know, sitting at a desk. I wanted to be out and about, and that's exactly what you get being a police officer. You're out and about. You can be the voice for people who don't have a voice. You can you have fun. It's like going out with your friends every night, but you're getting paid, and you're doing some wild things. I don't mean like wild in a bad thing, but like you might be chasing a car, or you might be, you know, helping some woman get out of a domestic violence situation. You might be doing some of these what some people just don't want to do, I guess, or get involved in. But
did you ever have a moment early on where you thought, this is not for me?
I've had a couple times where I was like, this
hey, did that like 5 years ago.
I did that 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. I mean, did you ever think that early on, especially? I mean,
I really, like, when I started the police academy, like when I got the word, like I got accepted to the police academy, I remember talking to my niece, And my niece was really young, and I was really close with her then. And I was like, well, I still am. And I was like, what do you think about being a police officer? My mom was like, I don't want to worry about you. I don't. And my dad was like, go for it. Yeah. And my niece was like, yes, you should do it. You should do it. And so I just did it. And I never really looked back. There's a couple times where I thought about maybe going to a federal agency when I was pretty young on, but they kind of like recruit you in a way. Right. But not really.
So did you finish with a biology degree, or
what did
that look like in college? I mean, you went to the
looked
academy.
like bad grades. Is what it looked like. No, I just switched it up.
Yeah.
You know, I started at UMKC with biology, and it wasn't going well for me. I went to Penn Valley. That's where I changed, and then finished out at UMKC.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it was my last semester at UMKC is when I started the police department as a records clerk.
Well, I guess when did you realize, as you're in this career field, right? I mean, you said, I didn't think I was going to be police chief, but at some point in your career, people were telling you, I'm sure, like, hey, you got real potential. I mean, you could really elevate yourself in this department. Did you have that? Were people giving you that feedback?
Was there some extra motivation to pursue even further?
Yes. So just coming up, I will say this, and this is also what I would advise other folks to do too. When you're in an organization, you're in maybe like that where I'm at. I always tried to, whatever assignment I had, I just took advantage of whatever position I was at. I don't mean like advantage in a bad way. I mean like, I was like, this is where I'm at, and I'm going to do the best I can here.
Right.
And then when you do that, opportunities just come.
That's right.
People see you work hard. They see the value that you bring and wherever you're assigned. Yeah. And then from then, there were always opportunities for promotion. And I had our daughter, and I was like, I had a great job. I'm telling you, like I was a detective in the criminal squad. I would have done some of that for free. It was like movie stuff. And fun. I was thinking, it was fun. I was like, but once I had a kid, I was like, okay, I felt guilty when I was at work and not with my kiddo. And then when I was with my kiddo, I was like, I felt guilty because I wasn't out working with the squad. Right. So I was like, I got to do something. And so I put in for sergeant, and I got promoted. And so I just moving up through different assignments. Yeah.
There's something into that. I mean, 100%. Like when you're so focused and driven in your own, that other people, and like you said, you put 100% into what your duties are, what's expected out of you,
right?
And other people see that 10 times more. Yeah.
Did you have mentors in the?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Female, male. I mean,
both.
Both. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I've tried to reach out and mentor, but it doesn't have to be a gender thing, because I've been mentored by men.
Absolutely.
Some of my best mentors have been men that have taken me up with them, that have raised me up, said, hey, and I mean like raised, like, like helping me out to,
send the ladder back down.
Yeah, exactly. But I've had those female mentors too that were also priceless. So it's really good to have a mix.
What was the advice they were giving you? I'm just curious.
Be yourself.
Be yourself.
Be yourself. Work hard. Yeah. Don't try to be something that you're not. And I never was. Like, that's the one thing about coming here. Like, I never tried to be one of the guys. I was just me. Right. When I grew up in KCK, we hung out with a big group of people, and a lot of them were guys. Yeah. So that's how it was. It was girls. It was girls and guys.
I always say this.
Everybody hangs out together.
More with guys than I do girls. What do you want me to say?
I didn't say that.
Man, come on.
I didn't say that. I love the ladies. I love our ladies. But I just never tried to be one of the guys. I think sometimes I've seen some ladies in this profession try to be something that they're not, when really what is needed in these positions is for you to be yourself. You want all people serving all people in this type of a career field.
Yeah.
Right. You talked a little bit about when you started having your family, and how that, that like you're feeling happy, and then you're feeling happy being here. How did you get to that safe, equal spot where you're comfortable with both of them?
Well, when I was a detective in that squad, I was torn. And so at that point I was like,
Was that
I
one of the
gotta-
times like, I don't know about this anymore?
That might have been one of those. I was like, yeah, gosh,
Maybe
what am I
one
going
of
to do? Yeah. So, I made a decision, and I put in for a sergeant, and I studied for it, and I finished and got
But being a
promoted.
sergeant, was that not as away? Is that the difference with that?
It was more of a
Or were you-
regular
were you
schedule.
able to-
Regular
yeah, that's
schedule.
what I meant.
I
yeah.
worked nights, but
Okay.
I was able to,
That balance
yeah,
of
me
family
and my husband,
work
yeah.
like that is.
it's funny how God makes a way, because sometimes, like somehow our shifts always worked out.
Yeah.
Like he would be on days, I'd be on PMs, or he'd be
Right.
overnights, I'd be days.
Yeah.
It just always worked out, and my parents were always here. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like him and I both had positions where we get called out in the middle of the night. I'm like, hey mom, we're both getting called out, and my mom would just come over in her jammies.
Have some coffee ready, boy.
I'd come back in, and she'd either be like watching TV, or she'd be asleep on the couch.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Mommy's faint." She's like, "Nope." She'd get right back up and go home and go to bed. And
Wow.
yeah, it was just nice. That
incredible.
Families are blessings.
Absolutely. How many
For
kids,
sure.
How many children do you have?
I have two. I don't want to say stepdaughters because they're mine.
Sure.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, they're
and then I
babies.
have. And then we have one kiddo together.
Okay. Nice.
Beautiful.
And age ranges?
Going to be 19, 30. I think she just turned 36.
Okay.
And 38. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm a grandma.
You are?
Yeah.
You're a grandma?
I'm
You're a
Gigi.
My wife's a GG too. My
yeah?
wife's a GG. Yeah.
My wife better wait on being Gigi. That's all I'm gonna say. Tell both my boys, hold off.
Yeah, hold on a little bit.
Hearing you talk, Chief Graves, about your backstory a little bit. I mean, one of the questions I guess that comes to mind, and you're kind of answering along the way, but I'll give you the question anyway. How do you feel like your upbringing, family dynamic, where you grew up, the community you grew up in, schools, all that, influences the way you want to lead the police department and serve the community?
I would say my upbringing, in KCK, obviously I was exposed to all different people, nationalities, ethnicities.
Right.
There's all kinds of people.
Yeah.
It's a big old
And
melting pot.
It's a big melting pot, and
Yeah.
even I could just say all kinds of people. Let's just say it. Let's put it that way. And that that knowledge or that knowing or that experience,
Yeah.
just really dug into me and how I approach things, is where I have love for people as people, as humans,
Right.
that everybody has something to offer,
Right.
that there's good in all people. There's some bad ones out there though. Let's just get that. There's evil in some folks
There is.
that regular people that ain't got boots on the ground like some of our
There is,
officers do. Like
for sure.
yeah, there's people that are seeking to hurt others, but other than that, that was a really good upbringing and influence that I'm thankful for.
Yeah.
That making sure that here at the police department, you just respect everyone for who they are and what they bring to this job,
Yeah.
and the service that they're able to provide.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I often try to tell people when I can, and it's this quote that I heard, right? I don't know if you heard it, JL. I don't know if I said it to you, but it goes like this: you got to find the good and the bad, the happy and the sad, the gain to your pain, and to be grateful, not hateful. And coming from your background, it seems that with that whole melting pot, I like to also tell people, we were raised in an urban environment to where we're cautious, but that cautious always seems to teach us what's out there. You're talking about the evil, the bad.
Yeah.
Well, hell, we seen it.
Yeah.
Living in that environment. There's a lot of good people, a lot. And you see them, but unfortunately, in your line of work, you've seen the bad. I've
been watching YouTube scammers.
Oh,
Man,
yeah.
I'll tell you what, you want to see bad people, just go to YouTube and type in scammer, they caught scammers, or something.
Yeah.
Man, there are some really bad people out there.
there are, and some of them scammers are victimizing people that don't have much already.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And so that's another thing is I appreciate I think when I kind of pause there when I'm talking about all people, I think what I was trying to put into words is I also appreciate the struggle of I got a text from my kiddo. This will summarize kind of like what I'm saying. I got a text from my kiddo a couple weeks ago. She was like, being poor is humbling. It's like,
It is, right?
yes, that is a lesson you need to learn. Because she's in college, and
Oh, I know it.
there's something like if you have lived your life at a time where you didn't have enough, or I guess I always had enough, but there was times where like it was a struggle, so you appreciate what you have.
Absolutely.
And you also see the humanity in people who are struggling, and if you could be a part of helping them along in life and giving them a little bit of help or connecting them to
guidance,
somebody,
right?
you like just show them some compassion or love. And that's what I tell the new recruits and the new officers, like when they do their run here, they run and do push-ups in front of headquarters. It's a tradition on our front steps. And then that's where I swear our officers in. That's where I take a picture with them. And I always tell them, like, hey, you're going to meet people on their worst day. Just know that. They're not calling you because they want to say hey.
Yeah.
They don't want to hang out with you.
Yeah.
They're calling you because they're having their worst time. They're in crisis. So meet them there. Meet them there and show them some compassion. Know that that's what you're walking into, and that you can be that person that could really really help them that day in some way. Even by your words, just treat them like a human. Don't judge them for whatever situation that they're in at that moment.
With respect. I think that's
Yes.
a lot of people, and I'm just assuming that that's what the first thing when they call for help, whether they need it or they're in a crisis, like you say, when they see the badge show up, they automatically just kind of want either some respect, they want to be heard, Sometimes it don't work out that way. Unfortunately,
Sometimes it doesn't. But
unfortunately,
that's okay.
But that's at and I'm very compassionate about the officers, man, because they're living nightmare situations, day in and day out,
right?
And that's something to
Well, every situation, there's no script to it per se, right? You don't know what is going to happen, who's going to do what. I mean, the simple traffic stop could turn into
we all
a horrible
videos,
situation,
man.
right? But one of the things that when I was hearing you talk is, I couldn't agree with you more. Compassion, but your life experiences have placed you in that mindset because of your life experiences. And the one thing I don't know that I'd like to get your opinion on is, how do we teach that life experience to people that they're never going to have that experience? You know what I mean? So,
or is it teachable?
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we try to teach people. Well, you got to think about people this way and care about people this way, and et cetera, et cetera. But man,
it's hard, man.
It is hard.
I can relate to you. We're all Gen Xers, right? Shout out Gen X, man.
Hey.
Listen, we were cool before the internet, everybody. I'm just going to put that out there.
Hey, we stayed home with no mom and dad. I was a latchkey kid.
Let's go. We was cool. No,
MTV raps.
But I think we all have very similar, us three, we all have very similar upbringing, right? Yeah. Very, very diverse. People everywhere, all walks of life, and social, dynamics were different. And, you just learn how to, navigate that world. But now today, maybe you can get into like your recruiting and stuff. Like, how do you do that with young people?
Yeah. We have a generation that's going, that's coming up, that people have been taught, use your words, not your hands. That works in some situations. I think that's where maybe that could be like a challenge for some of our new recruits now, is like that confrontation, that communication, that negotiation and influence. Remember, hey, I've talked myself out of a fight growing up. I remember I don't want to go back to the story, but me and my
Go
friend.
ahead.
Let's hear it.
Tell it. We gotta know. The world wants to know.
You don't have to name drop. You don't have to
We're
name
still
drop.
friends today. We're best friends. But
What's her name? Angie Rodriguez?
nope.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
But she would know who she
Shout
is.
out Angie.
So we were at. Do you remember when we used to have like the Spirit Fest?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I just remember us being there, and some girl wanted to fight her. Of course, it was always over a guy. And she was like, I don't even like him. But anyways, it was just one of those things. And she had a whole gang of girls, and I was just like, hold on. And it was just us two. So we were either gonna go
Back to back. Like,
or
we're standing back to back and let's get them.
right. And so I remember like, hold on. Well, you know, I was just trying to like negotiate and like, I'm not letting my friend fight and blah, blah, you know. I think some kids don't have that interaction.
No, a lot.
They're on their phones. They're on, and I'm not discounting this generation come up. They're bringing a lot of great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're bringing their own greatness
In
to the
their own
world.
way, right?
But there's some of those confrontational situations, those interactions, those just people skills.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's really what is valued in police work too. If I can have a conversation with anyone and possibly like see where they're at
Right.
and try to help them in that moment, de-escalate situations.
Talk them down.
Yeah, talk them down.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of a learned behavior as you come up.
You can go a lot with that. You know, there's I believe that 100 wholeheartedly %. You know, like, you know, I've been fortunate enough to talk people down from a lot of crap, a lot of shit that they want to say or do or act on. You know.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can hear that in your voice.
Yeah.
You kind of have that calming voice.
And I'm like, man, come
It
on.
usually sounds like this. Stop right now.
Cut that out.
You know, there's always somebody in the family, like when they say stop, like everybody
when to
listens.
stop.
Yeah, everybody listens.
Well, I am the uncle, right? And I like to say I have relationships with everybody a little different. Anyways, let's talk.
Well,
we don't need to talk about it.
yeah. Listen, here's one thing I want to talk about. First female police chief. I mean, when that day came,
Man.
what did that mean for your family? Your family, and then your mom, your dad. You know, what did that mean for everybody?
I remember the interview. Like they told me that day, they're like, you know, you're the one that's chosen for the chief's position.
Mm-hmm.
Do you accept it? Yes. Okay. Be downstairs in 5 minutes. So I went down there. They had already announced it. I'm walking in. I see my husband. My husband was like super excited about it.
Yeah.
And
He knew.
well, he had heard the announcement. He was already down there.
Got you.
And so I'm standing there like, you know, you do your interviews because the media's there.
Right.
And they're like, what's the first thing you do? I go, I'm going to call my mom. You're like, your mom doesn't know yet? I was like, no, I need to call my mom.
Yeah.
And I went and called mom. She's like, oh, I knew it. I knew it. I was like, well, Mama, I didn't know it.
Yeah.
So,
She had that feeling.
yeah, she's like, oh, I knew it. I knew you'd get it. My sister was super excited. Yeah, it was cool. They're both my biggest fans.
I have to say, I was real happy to see that and know that also. I mean, for one, you're a Kansas Cityan.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, you were here, KC. You're the dot. You came up, and I think the other people were not.
Correct.
Is that right?
They were from out of state.
Yeah, they're out of state. So when I seen that, when that happened, man, I was like,
And you know me, when I seen that Frank Russian, Rosedale, Harmon, the dot, for
Like, hey.
I'm like, listen, I don't know her, but that's what
I don't need to know her.
Yeah, I know her, but I don't know her. You know, one of those things. And just real quick, you know, I told my sister, I said, you know, we're going to be talking to the chief of police, KCPD, Chief Stacey Graves, and she goes, Stacey Graves? She was in my quinceañera. And I'm like, whoa, time out, really? And I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah. And then I kind of started connecting.
We gotta look for the
You went to
pictures,
Harmon. Oh, I got the pictures.
Oh, you got the pictures?
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna put them on there.
I
too.
don't care.
I'll email them. I'll email them to Officer Gonzalez. You know,
I'm proud of that hair. Go ahead.
super cool.
Junior, senior picture. Anything below that, just go.
Right.
What would you say, you know, your early goals were becoming chief? I mean, you know, this was 2022, right? Kind of coming out of COVID a little bit. So there's some unique challenges around that. But talk about those early goals.
Well, on December 15th of 2022, I was sworn in as chief of police. That was my 25th anniversary of the police department, like to the day.
Oh,
Wow.
Yes, I had started the police academy 25 years prior to that.
Okay.
Anyways, that's just a
yeah.
little fun fact.
You know what that
Yeah.
is?
That was a
You know
fun
what-
fact.
You know what that is?
What's that?
We like to do this. You know what that is, D-Rod?
I know exactly what that is.
That's a salute.
That's a
Chief
salute.
Greg. You don't have a
You don't have
drink.
none.
I got a water.
Hey, there we go. We'll do that.
salute.
See, this is when we would have tequila, everybody, but we don't. we don't.
We're honoring the building.
But yeah, sorry, you were going. So 25 years, incredible.
25 years to the day when I started the police academy. So, what was the question? I don't remember.
Well,
I got caught up in the salute and like
Hey,
drinking water over here.
the goals, the early goals.
The goals. Success for me in this position is that our members feel both valued and supported, both internally and externally.
Yeah.
Coming in as the chief of police after 2020 and all the negative sentiments towards law enforcement, all the police chiefs that were in around that time, it was rough.
Mm-hmm.
I can look back in history. I don't know any other time it was as rough as it was for police chiefs. But I just wanted to really break down that adversarial wall between police and the community. And I know that we had a previous relationship, a good one where we were sitting at breaking bread with each other at community meetings. And I just wanted to bring that back. I just
Right.
wanted people to get to know their police department again and let them know that they have a force of dedicated men and women that are invested in the safety and betterment of Kansas City.
And that wall you described, Chief Graves, I mean, that wasn't just a KC, Kansas City.
No.
That was national.
National.
Absolutely.
That was a national thing. I mean, when you talk to your peers around the country, I mean, do we feel like we are in a better space nationally?
Yes, and it's continuing to improve. And I think you can see that in some of the recruiting numbers. This past January 27th, we started the biggest class we've had since 2019.
Okay.
Really?
Started with 41, and we're looking at May 5th class for hopefully
Cinco de Mayo.
at least, I know. I wanted the 5 like May 5th and start with a 50.
Yeah.
We might be in the high 40s.
Who failed? We got to call him right now.
Oh, man.
I will
Throw
call
under
him
the
out
bus.
right now. No, we're trying. It's
How long? What's that process look like when the recruits are? So you said that was in January.
So they'll get out in August.
In August.
It's like a 7-month police academy that they go
Okay.
through. And we have our own regional police academy. We train other outside agencies in and around Kansas City, Missouri.
okay. Yeah, nice,
So
nice.
I think it's like maybe up to 10 other police departments go through our police academy.
And you also said that there's 40
40.
that will.
There's 40 in there right now that started in January. We just graduated a small class of 11 this past.
Will all 40 make it?
That's yet to be
Normally,
determined.
I mean,
we usually lose a couple.
a couple of them.
Sometimes people come in and like, yeah, this isn't what I thought it was.
Yeah.
This ain't for me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
I get
it's a
that.
lot of responsibility that you're given. The authority that you are granted is a lot of responsibility,
Yeah, mentally, physically.
right?
And you probably have some autonomy too, right? To make just judgment calls out there in the field, I'm assuming.
Yes, you have a lot of discretion.
Discretion.
And that's why sometimes, even whether that be on their own, some people leave, or maybe
Yeah.
that's ours, where if you don't have the judgment to make those discretionary decisions
Right.
out on patrol or wherever you're at, then sometimes someone may not be a good fit for us.
Yeah.
To wear this badge, that there's a lot that goes behind it, and for you to have the honor to wear it, you got to make sure that you're representing our department and our city.
In comparison, I'm sitting here thinking about what you're saying, and in comparison to those, like I'll say, like firefighters, right? When they get called, everybody claps their hands, they're happy, they're saving the world, they're heroes, right? Medics, everybody's happy, they show up, they save the day. Unfortunately, when most police officers show up, there's always some type of little strain, and people feel some kind of way about that. To what you're saying, where they got to be prepared and be able to talk and everything else. Do you think that that's from maybe where the community or like what Jael was saying, like trying to rebuild some type of relationship?
Yeah, definitely trying
to. How would that be, or was that? I mean, how would you do that, or with your officers?
With our officers, that's ingrained in them in the academy.
Right.
Obviously that's the expectation I give them before I swear them in.
Sure.
We also have, like I said, all of that training, and you just have to be of a certain caliber of a person to really take on this position
and use it
right.
Yeah.
And you got to be courageous. You got to have compassion for folks, and you got to have heart. Like, you gotta. You're putting yourself out there. Like sometimes you're putting your life. Well, not sometimes. I mean, there are times where you're going to put your life before others.
Right.
Sometimes I think that different perception between fire, they're seen more as rescuers. When a police officer enters the room, there's an authority because we have that authority to actually take your freedom.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's some kind of a subconscious, feeling when we enter into a room,
and feel that way.
We're also coming in with a belt, with a firearm, and whatnot on. Yeah. So sometimes I think
there might be a little, what am I saying? Like people get intimidated, by that.
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
So, you being the chief of police, I mean, one of the things that I think our audience might want to know, probably don't know a lot of chiefs of police. So what is a day-to-day for a chief of police? I mean, and then how do you balance that with, obviously, one of the most important things to you, your family, I mean, talk about that.
So simply put, leadership is sacrifice. You get into positions like this, you're going to sacrifice. You just have to balance. There's just some give and take. So my husband knows the responsibilities and the obligations of this position, but at the same time, he's going to let me know when I need to, hey, we need to go walk in the woods.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
What's your husband's name?
Danny.
Danny. Shout out Danny.
Shout out Danny.
Shout out Danny.
So there's always that constant balance, but when you're in this position, day to day, if have you guys ever been through an assessment center?
Like a physical assessment, or
well, sometimes it's physical, but you just never know what's gonna walk into your office. You never know what's gonna happen out there that you're responding to. Yeah. From a personnel issue to a community issue to some kind of incident. You just never know. I'm busy. Yeah. But
I'm sure,
but you know how sometimes when you're doing something that you're passionate about, you can be busy all day, but it's energizing.
Right.
So as long as I feel that way about this position, they always say you'll know when it's time. Yeah. So I guess when that fire dims or I get tired.
I think you're far away from that. Let's hope. Okay,
yeah,
we need Rosedale to be here present. What would you say is the most important, not most important, the funnest aspect of your job for you?
To make positive change. If I see something wrong, I can boom, I can act on it right there. I have the positional authority to make really good things happen.
Okay.
That is so fun. And I think that's what attracted me to put in for this position. Because, whenever you're not in the seat, you're like, oh, we could do this and make this better. But, you have to have that. You have to have authority from that person to make those changes.
Right.
Being in this position, you can do that. And I'll tell you something else, nobody knows how it feels to sit in certain jobs. Nobody knows how it feels to really be the president of the United States. People could say, hey, if I was president, I'd do this, I do that, I do this. Right. But you don't see everything that person sees unless you're actually sitting in that seat. That's you and you own it.
Who wants that job, man?
The president? Not me.
That's so rough.
I mean, chief of police.
Chief of police, man.
Oh, I'll take it. Yeah, I knew what I was getting into. It's good. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I've been conditioned.
That's awesome.
You're perfect for it. I could tell.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I mean, would you say that there was a role or a position you held I mean, I'm sure all of them, right? All of them played a significant part in you being a successful police chief. But there's probably one or maybe some experience you had with one that you said, and that really prepared me for this role?
I would probably say my time in the media unit.
Okay.
I was also the operations sergeant for Chief Forte.
Okay.
Wonderful
Shout out
person.
Chief Forte.
Yeah. You know, he's still
Is he
encouraging
sheriff's
me.
office?
He's the sheriff. He's the
Yeah.
Jackson County sheriff, and he
Yeah.
still encourages me.
Yeah.
Yep, sends me text messages of encouragement. Yeah.
Nice.
So probably those two positions really.
Yeah.
And also I was acting deputy chief for the Patrol Bureau, which is the largest bureau. That's basically any uniformed officer.
Okay.
Yeah. So those positions specifically prepared me for this.
Okay.
I mean, you know, you always got your field experience. I was at Central Patrol, East
Sure.
Patrol, but
I mean, that probably helps you, though, connect to those officers that are out there doing that work, right? I mean, the fact that you did it, you came up. I mean, you came up like
Yep.
from the the very lowest levels, it seems like. So,
yes, and you know, sometimes there's been that distinction or separation or division, some people call it, from non-sworn to sworn. So I've been both.
okay.
So I want to make sure that our professional staff, our non-sworn staff, know that they're also valued and support, because if it weren't for them, there's things we couldn't do. We wouldn't have anybody answer 911 calls. They're our first responders. You know, making the things work behind the scenes. Like they have everyday things that they do that are making Kansas City safer, keeping us going, keeping cars going, so we can get in a police car and go somewhere. You know, lights and sirens.
How big is the police department now?
So fully staffed, which we're not right now, is 1,408 officers.
Wow.
We're about at 1121 right now. And we full staff, I think it's 639 professional staff.
Okay.
So that's dispatchers, call takers, fleet operations, fiscal, human resources. Like I could go on and on, all the people that
So
are
that's
here that support
2,000
us.
people.
Yep.
Yeah. So with those numbers, how are you able to control the strain of lack of officers or people that you need?
Or resources.
Yeah,
just in
resources.
You know, you just gotta
Work with what you got.
You got to work with what you got. You got to prioritize where you need folks, and obviously the priority should be 911 calls for service. But you know, you also got to make sure you have some of those other detective spots staffed as well.
Right.
Obviously, our communications unit with our call takers and our dispatchers, you gotta staff that up. We've been short in that area too, and so we've had to get creative. So it's like kind of answering your question.
Yeah.
We've had to get creative. We've brought dispatchers in or from other police departments and put them on contract so they can work here part time, so they can fill in.
Right.
You know, like this is like a part time job for them.
Yeah.
Or we've trained some police officers to dispatch and call take on overtime.
Right.
We brought in some retired officers to come in and do it on contract also. So just to try to fill some of those holes and try to make, we got the calls are going to keep coming.
Oh, yeah.
So we got to put people with headsets on to answer those
How
calls.
many calls you guys averaging? Do you know?
Oh my goodness.
Gosh, man, I can only imagine, especially on long weekends, man, like holiday weekends and.
Yeah, and you know, between Central Patrol and East Patrol, I mean, those are our top areas
Yeah.
for calls for service.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you think of Central Patrol, that's downtown
Right.
all the way to the plaza and is east to Prospect. You know, you've
Big
got
business
dense
districts.
population. Yeah, business districts. You've got you know, multiple family housing. I mean, there's a lot in and around here, and obviously the population here downtown continues to grow, and your police department has to respond to that.
Right.
You know, we
And
have to respond to the needs of where the
Right.
populations are growing.
Yeah.
That's all behind the scenes stuff that don't nobody know unless you know. You know,
Yeah.
people complain and talk and all that crap, man, but you don't know. They don't know what
Yeah.
you're doing to try and provide that service for our city. You know.
What is the vacancy you have right now, you said?
We have 1,121 officers, and our full strength is
14.
1,408.
Okay. So
we're short some officers.
yeah, you're short. Yeah, that's
But we've got, I mean, on the bright side, I'm telling you, like January starting that class.
Yeah.
And then if we have another a big class in May, and then we got another class starting in August, I mean, like we're building back.
Yeah.
Like, let's go. And, you know, we got FIFA around the corner.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get that August class real big.
We gotta prepare.
Like all these 3 classes so we can have as many officers on the street as we can. But hey, I'll tell you, we're going to be bringing officers in from all around
Yeah.
the state of Missouri, even out in the region state-wise.
Okay.
The state of Missouri is helping us with that to make sure that we have
Okay.
everything
From
we need.
different municipalities coming in here.
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of like we do with the Chiefs Parade.
Yeah.
We
Right.
bring in hundreds of officers.
Yeah.
We're going to be way beyond that.
Yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to talk about. Is like, man, what is the World Cup preparations? I mean, because what are we anticipating coming in here?
Like
Millions, I think
another
they said
million or
millions.
something?
a couple a day.
Million, a couple
Yeah.
million.
It's incredible.
I think they said.
I mean,
3 million people.
Police department, fire department. I mean, public, everybody.
You got to think about transportation,
Transportation,
hotel
hotels,
lodging.
man, food,
It's,
like all the restaurants and the ones that we've talked to, like they prepared last year. You know, the end of last year, they got to get ready.
Yeah, we've been preparing for years.
Really?
We had already started prepping before I even took this position.
Do you know how many officers more you're gonna have come in?
I think we're planning on having like a 1,000 a day,
Oh wow.
like with some of our officers, and then supplementing with outside
Yeah.
resources.
Yeah.
So we are going to be like, and this is what we'll already have.
Right.
And then on top of that,
On
we're going to
top,
have
additional.
officers
Right.
working extra shifts, and then bringing in other law enforcement agencies from other
That's
parts
great.
of Missouri and the state. And it's
great.
kind of a shared situation too, because they're going to have some events over there in
Right.
KCK, and also a practice facility in Riverside. So it's
What's-
going to be a regional
What's been
thing.
the most challenging aspect of that? I mean, this is the World Cup, and Kansas City's not had a World Cup, and I know they say things like it's like a Super Bowl at every game. It's
Man.
like we've not had a Super Bowl either, but I mean, at least game played here.
We've had parades.
You in your tenure, I mean, you've had Super Bowl parades. I mean, it's just been
NFL drafts.
NFL drafts.
Yep. The KC Current opening.
Casey Curran.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean,
That's a fun spot.
it's been all
You go there?
Yeah, I've been to one of
Nice.
their games. Yeah, it was fun.
Oh, yeah.
Those ladies are fun to
Oh,
watch.
yeah, we gotta go.
And they score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be
They
kicking
score.
ass.
Like
They be kicking
I've
ass.
watched kids soccer. I'm like, oh, is anybody gonna score? Those ladies like
They get it.
they
Listen,
get it.
that's why my son quit playing soccer early. I was like, listen here, man, you guys don't score, and this game ended 0-0.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can handle another year of this.
They get it all the way down.
I'm
They don't get
I'm
it
so
in.
American. Somebody has to win. What are we doing here?
Somebody has to at least score.
Score,
they score.
please.
Like that's the exciting part.
Please score. But no, what would you say has been one of the most challenging aspects of World Cup preparations?
So I guess the challenge would be is just all of the coordination that goes on involved.
Right.
If this puts it into perspective, we have assigned a major and a captain to just work on FIFA for the next, so they'll be just specifically assigned to that for 2 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're working right now on that.
Yeah, they're working right now. Yeah, I went in to talk to Major Martinez the other day, and I go, "Hey, how you doing?" She was like on a Zoom. She was like, so she's just constantly in all these meetings, all this preparation. Obviously this is a coordinated response, and public safety is the foundation of a successful event.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I know that's going to be a challenge we've not seen, this many people coming into the city like that. But it's exciting too, right?
It is exciting.
I mean, it's really exciting. I mean, probably the most important question I would ask you around the World Cup is, who are you going to root for?
USA?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's no wrong answer. I'm just asking. Who are you going to root for?
I'm like, oh. You know what? That is so funny that you're asking me that question, because I have not thought about that at all. All I've thought about is making sure that's safe.
Listen,
Yeah. That's a perfect answer there.
I didn't even
That's
think
even
about
that's
a
even
team.
that's even a better answer. That's even a better answer.
I've heard about some rowdy teams, and
Oh,
I've heard
yeah.
about some teams
They're
like that
coming
would
here.
probably be better to come here. So we're
Yeah.
going to see how that all turns out. I think some of the drawing of the teams gets done in December. And we have 6 matches here in Kansas City.
I
One of
think
them is
Germany- I
semifinal.
think Germany's.
That's a good one.
I think they're probably lined up, and I heard, man.
I heard they drink a little, not a lot.
I
Just a little
mean,
bit.
it just.
You see 2 Mexicans
They go
hanging out with the
crazy,
Germans. Don't judge, okay?
We'll have some steins.
One of the things that I wanted to ask you about, Chief Graves, you talked about relationships, being out there in the community. I mean, your role is, you're out there in the community. You're the face of the department, right?
Yeah.
How important is that in your role to be connected to the community and to be accessible? I mean, even doing something like this. How important is that for somebody in your role?
it means so much. And the word that you said was accessible. So when I came into this position, even when I was putting in for it and, talking to those who were making the decision on who to choose for this position, was me saying that I want to be accessible to Kansas City. Kansas City should be accessible to their police chief. I should be accountable. Part of that accessibility, too, is you asking me questions and holding me accountable for the service that you get from police.
Sure.
And, if this was some other kind of service that we were providing, maybe that wouldn't be as serious. But when you're talking about public safety, that's everybody deserves to be safe, right? So that's a foundation of not only a safer city, but also successful businesses, a thriving, growing, economically viable city is the foundation of that is public safety. So I should be out here. And I will say this too. It should be the expectation of our officers for their chief to be out there to speak for them. Because there's some times where I need to stand up for our officers, or give a perspective of policing in general, whatever the situation may be, and also explain our response to certain incidents or situations.
Right.
Yeah.
So that means so much to have listening sessions, and so when I'm asked to go out into the community to different places, I always ask, well, hey, can we leave time for Q&A? That's a time where that's true accessibility. Like you can ask me, that's why I was like, you asked me, like, is there anything on the table? I was like, no, I'm an open book because I have to be.
You have to be.
Yeah, I'm accountable to the people.
Sure.
Right. I love
Well, I mean, with that, nothing crazy. Don't worry. One of the things, D-Rod knows this, that people have actually reached out to us and said, man, I'd like to come and talk to you guys about this, the small businesses, particularly with the break-ins. Cafe Corazon, shout out Dulcinea Herrera. I think they got broken into 3 or 4 times now.
I think 3 times.
And several others, right?
Yep.
Talk about the challenges around that first of all, before anything else. I mean, what is the unique challenges around preventing those types of criminal activities?
Well, in preventing them, there's some challenges. So that's a service that we offer. Our community engagement division will come out and do what we call a SEPTED. It's, just looking at the environment and seeing how we can make your business safer, whether it be better lighting, cameras, alarms, securing your business in whatever way. But in addition to that, another challenge is, we had a restaurant broken into on the west side. The suspects were in and out in 34 seconds. Broke in, took something, and were out in 34 seconds. So it's hard for us to, a quick response. But we follow up on that. But specifically, Cafe Corazon, which I love their Forest Berry yerbas.
Yeah.
Had one of those yesterday.
Got you there.
Got
right?
me on that one. The person that broke into that business has been arrested and has been charged.
Good.
And what's challenging and frustrating for law enforcement is that person is in some of these situations, generally speaking, when it comes to property crime, some people are prolific offenders.
Right.
They've been arrested. The charges have been submitted to the county. The county charges them. Judge puts them in jail. They get back out. They reoffend. It's so frustrating sometimes it's demoralizing when officers are out there. We're like, we've arrested the same guy, so, and who does that always fall on? The police are the visible character in the story. When you think about crime, you think, you picture police or yellow tape.
Right.
But there's so much more to the criminal justice system.
Sure.
So, obviously when someone's business gets broken into or something like that, it's always, what are the police doing? And I will tell you what the police are doing. We are helping businesses with those SEPTEDs. Yeah. We are arresting people. We are charging people.
Yeah.
Well, they're charging. We arrest them. We submit charges.
Right.
The prosecutor charges. I will tell you something. Melissa Johnson, the Jackson County prosecutor, has been fantastic.
Yeah,
She has put a spotlight on property crime specifically. She's dedicated prosecutors to work with KCPD to make sure that we present cases for successful prosecution.
Yeah.
Volume crimes affect more people, obviously. that affects all of us. Everybody who drives a car, people who have a business, that affects everyone.
Right.
And, her and, us and KCPD and the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office are really working to try to hold people accountable who are harming people in Kansas City, especially small business owners.
Absolutely.
Remember when I said earlier, like you got people out here that victimize people who don't have much?
Right.
It's frustrating, especially for the small business community in Kansas City. Because I don't know if you guys remember this, but remember when it was the Royals were in the World Series and there was like that magic around the city?
Oh, man.
And do you remember how that was?
Crime, there was nothing going on.
There was like a catalyst for small businesses. Remember, everybody's making T-shirts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I felt like that was a huge boost for small businesses. Either that or I just started paying more attention to it. But like, I love that in Kansas City, that you can have a small business, you could be successful here. And for somebody to victimize folks like that, I take that personally. This is my city.
Of course.
Right.
So,
and I do too, and I totally get that. I understand that whole, they're in and out, 35 seconds, so there's the people who get angry and frustrated, and right away, like you said, the spotlight's on the blue, and well, you guys aren't doing enough and all that crap, right? But the deal is that, you can't be there. You don't know. And people, these vandals, right, or criminals, right, or whatever you want to call them, you can't know when they're gonna pop up and do that. It's hard to catch them.
Well, and I was thinking about that. I mean, I would imagine not every business is calling you immediately when this happens.
Right.
I mean, some of them may have alarms, some of them may not. They may have, some sort of security system or whatever. Some of them may not, They may not find out till the very next morning when they go open up. And then they're calling you and it's long gone, right? Whatever happened.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge all on its own, I'm sure.
that's a challenge. Yeah, that is a challenge. And so we were having some business burglaries in and around the Crossroads, West Side, downtown area.
Right.
And so we've put more officers at car break-ins.
Right.
We put more officers. We implemented the entertainment district plan, which we only usually do from May to maybe into September, October. And we have, those are squads of officers that patrol the entertainment districts over the summer.
Yeah.
Well, we re-implemented a version of that to be in and around the downtown corridor, West Bottoms, River Market, downtown, like the business or the government district, Crossroads. So we can put officers in closer proximity to where some of these things are happening to prevent, intervene, obviously enforcement.
Right.
And we were getting off at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Guess
Well,
when? Guess when? Yeah. It's like they knew.
2:10.
And then they started breaking into businesses at 3:00. So then we switched our hours around. It's frustrating for us, and we frequent these businesses. So, like with Cafe Corazon, I was like, oh, you broke into Cafe Corazon. I'm a customer. I'm a customer there.
And the crime rate, and I don't know the statistics, so I'm not even going to try and venture down that road, but the criminals, okay, so the city just approved, the voters, the residents just approved the new jail, to renew the sales tax rate for the new jail. Can you talk about, like, how is that going to help, you all as a police department and the city just overall manage crime better?
So the public safety sales tax, shout out to the voters. Appreciate your support and your investment in public safety. And that's public safety as a whole. How that's going to help. When some of these people break into cars and whatnot, some of that does not rise to a state level offense. So maybe it's a city offense. We don't have a city jail right now to hold them. We need to increase or enhance our ability to hold someone accountable.
Yeah.
Police officers offer that first consequence. The first consequence is arrest. What happens after that is through different systems. So this municipal rehabilitation and detention center is a must-have for Kansas City. And that is not a KCPD function. That's a municipal court function, but it's something I wholeheartedly advocate for. And in that, if someone has if someone just punches somebody in the face and it's a city offense, that person goes in custody and they get taken to city jail. If not, they'll go to our... like one of our detention facilities, at KCPD, and we don't have the capacity to hold people. I mean, and sometimes we'll have to let someone else out who has a more
Lesser.
Egregious offense.
Oh, wow.
And it's not okay. It's unacceptable.
Right.
If you have laws in your city, your state, you got to have consequences for those who break those laws. If not, then I mean, it's just like, as a kid, if you don't have consequences, and you're not going to learn. And the way that this municipal rehabilitation and detention center, sometimes you got to, sometimes putting someone into custody is keeping them safer, is putting them into services. Even like, let's say somebody has, we have mental health court, we have homeless court, so we have things in place where if there's a root cause that they can get some kind of assistance, we'll do that. Other than that, like, some people just need a timeout.
Is this a unique jail in that sense that it's kind of a rehabilitation center and a jail? Is that unique, or is that a nationwide kind of? Is that happening nationwide? I don't know.
I think sometimes I don't know wholeheartedly the answer to that question, but I think there's some places that obviously might have like a social worker on staff or something like that. But this is a very intentional move that if someone does have some kind of a life issue, that those resources would be offered.
Yeah.
Because you want to stop the behavior, right?
Yeah.
We want someone to be a good person, to come out and not reoffend. We want some kind of a consequence or some kind of what's the word I'm looking for, where you just don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
That's what the hope or the belief is in that system. Some people are just going to be people.
Yeah.
And they're just going to keep on doing what they do.
What they're used to doing.
Yeah, and then so that's when you just got to escalate what that consequence is.
Yeah. I was just thinking about, the mental health aspect. I mean, that's a topic that, rightly so, we talk about regularly now, right? And I'm sure just over the course of your career, Chief Graves, I mean, probably early on, I mean, people didn't talk about mental health very much. I don't know.
Well, we had mental health facilities.
Yeah.
We had Western Missouri. So if we had someone who was in a mental health crisis, we had somewhere to bring them. As I went on in my career, some of those places have lessened.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes we tend to like, where it's over here, it's too much, and then so we try to overcorrect, and then that's not right either. So you need to be kind of in the middle. But when I came on as chief as well, I required all of our academy recruits to go through a 40-hour crisis intervention team training. Before that was optional, or it was you chose to go, not required.
Yeah.
But now it is that way. When officers come out, they automatically know. Yeah, and also de-escalation tactic with it's called ICAT. So like if you get into a situation, someone's in crisis, and they're either armed or unarmed or armed with anything other than a firearm. Just teaching officers to slow it down, try to de-escalate that, and bring it to a peaceful resolution where everyone goes home safe at the end of the night. But sometimes we get put in no-win situations, but mental health is something that, we even have a whole squad. We have a crisis intervention team with the sergeant, and I don't know if we're up to 6 officers in that or not, but.
How big is the jail going to be again?
I don't know the final number on that.
Okay.
We've kind of went back and forth. I've given my recommendation, then the study was done. I'm not sure exactly what number we ended up on.
And when is it going to be constructed completely? Do you know?
I don't know that.
You don't know? All right. Just curious.
I wish I did know.
No, you talked a little bit. You brought up the term mental health, and here on our platform, we've been lucky enough to have some guests talk about their own struggles with mental health, and we talked about it through it and all that stuff. And I know that it's a thing even in the police force, and some things that people don't know or don't look into, but and correct me if I'm wrong. I think what I seen at one time is that usually all first responders, which would be the medics and the firemen and police and military, right, have a high suicide rate. Right? Is that pretty accurate? Almost, I think it was even labeled as number 1 in suicide. Now, I know you talk with your all your academy and your staff and your officers, how is that, I mean, able to control them, to give them something, say they need? I mean, like I said earlier, you know, there's nightmare situations, and there's even PTSD of situations they gotta live after. You know, that's a hot topic too. You know,
Yes.
the people and another thing that you have to deal with.
Yeah, and that's important for
Real
me in
important.
this position.
Yeah.
And ironically, before I met with you two today, I was meeting with our psychologist that works with our members. You know, anytime an officer is involved in a critical incident, you get a debrief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, with a psychologist. That's a requirement, and then at that point, it's determined whether you can return to duty or not, or
Sure.
if you need a little bit of time off.
Sure.
We have a wellness unit. It's a supervisor and 2 retired officers who are trained
Nice.
to go out. Earlier today, I was talking about getting ahead of the critical incident, because if you're a police officer, you're going to experience a critical incident,
For
whether
sure.
you are directly involved or you're a witness of it.
Right.
Sure.
Or there's also secondary trauma, because you're going into places where you're going to see like
You see
bad things that humans do to
yeah,
other humans.
yeah.
You're going to see it. It's not
Yeah.
when, you're going to.
Right.
And so making sure that we build those resiliency tools at the beginning and
Yeah.
prepare folks to know that when that critical incident happens, this is what you do.
Right.
And then even following up from that. But our wellness folks go out, like if we have an injured officer, they'll go out to the hospital, even personal situations, you know, sick kiddo at the hospital
Yeah.
or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
have a
That
team built
support.
for that.
Need
Yeah.
that
And we're
support.
growing that team.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's incredible. I mean, one of the reasons why we wanted to talk to you is because, you know, sometimes when people see somebody in your position, people assume that decisions are made like off the cuff, like with no, you know, information, and, you know, hey, they're not doing anything about this or whatever, right? And I think it's important for people to understand that
Yeah.
not just in your role, but just the police department. There's so many things going on
Right.
at one time, right? You got almost 2,000 people, you know. D-Roy was talking about the mental health aspect. That made me think of it. I mean, there's the community control and safety, but then there's the internal control and safety that you have to
Yes.
manage too, right?
Right. And
And
we
that's
got
also-
officers out 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that wellness is not just for police officers.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes for our dispatchers. They hear some things on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
when they're talking to people in crisis, and
Right.
they hear people, you know, being, you know, there's times where unfortunately they've heard people being harmed, and
Right.
you know that stretches to all of our members. But
Right.
absolutely, that's part of that valuing and supporting our members internally and externally, making sure that they feel like, you know, this is an organization that cares about them, cares about their well-being and their
Right.
mental health.
Yeah, that's excellent. Well, listen, I think this has been great, Chief Graves. We're going to start wrapping this up and do some fun things with you. We do a couple of fun questions. I guess the funnest question I could ask you right now, just off the top of my brain, I didn't even write this down. Favorite police movie or show?
Let's be cops.
Let's Be Cops.
Let's be cops.
What? No, have I seen this? I'm trying to think. Have I seen
Is that a
this show?
comedy?
Yeah,
It's a comedy.
it's got Rob Riggle in it.
Oh, okay,
yes,
okay.
Yeah.
Let's
Shout
be
out
cops.
Let's be
Rob
cops.
Riggle, man.
Yeah.
Let's Be Cops. All right.
Is it still on? Is it still season? Is it, what is it?
It's
season
a
show?
movie.
Oh,
It's
it's
a movie, yeah.
I've never
That's
heard
probably
of it.
about.
I thought you were
it
going
might
to
be
say
like
Police
10 years.
Academy. I don't know why.
Oh,
I
I liked
assumed.
Police Academy
don't
back in
know.
the day. I did watch that, which is funny. Look back at that. I really loved that show when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Or that movie.
Do you have a funny or fun story that you could share with us, or your early days as a police officer out there in the wild streets of Kansas City?
A funny one? Not off the. I might have to think about that one.
That's okay. You can think about
A
it.
funny one.
Shout out Chato, by the way.
Yeah.
Chato
Chato,
Villalobos. He kind of helped us get this going, and shout out Officer Gonzalez and Sergeant DiMartino. Really appreciate all their work on this. But our boy Chato, shout out. He shared
Shout
a
out
funny
Chato,
story.
man.
That's
Shout
what
out
made me think of
Chato.
that. He shared a funny
Oh,
story
he told
About
a hilarious
himself?
story.
early on,
Yeah.
What did he
chasing
say?
somebody in handcuffs. That
They got away from him.
that got away from him. He said it was
broke it
either
down.
get them and lose my car, or lose my car and get them. He's like, I chose my car. You know, so that was hilarious.
So we never know what happened to the guy with the handcuffs.
I don't know. We never found out. He never found out.
I'm assuming they got caught. And I think it was a woman.
I think Chato. He told that story.
You know.
Well, listen. He took a lot of pride in being committed to the department by keeping the car. All right. I read you're an outdoor person. You like to be outdoors.
I do.
And you know that's kind of your getaway from mental break, if you will, from the work. What is your favorite outdoor space in Kansas City?
Oh, my favorite outdoor space in Kansas City. Wow. I really enjoyed the KC Current. I mean,
Yeah.
The game?
yeah, like
Oh,
the
well,
game.
yeah.
You're outside. But other than that, there's some trails.
Yeah.
That we walk, and
Yeah.
so just
Yeah, don't be too
being
specific.
outside. Yeah, okay, I'm not. Oopsie. Outside, the front porch of headquarters.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Front porch of headquarters.
I like to hang out on the
Up
front
and down-
porch down
up
there.
and down Oak.
Sometimes I take pictures out there with new officers.
There we go. There we go. No, that's awesome. All right, one other fun one, real quick. What would you say is the worst intersection in Kansas City you hate driving through?
The worst intersection in Kansas City that I hate driving through. Oh
I
my
hit a
gosh.
couple on the way here, by
Okay.
the way.
Okay. Does it have to? Can it be on the highway?
It could be wherever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're coming down from the Northland,
Mm-hmm.
and you know that split right there, it splits. You can go left and go to like 71 Highway and I-70, or you can go right and go
Yeah, yeah.
that right there
Yeah.
at like 7:00 in the morning. People just don't know which lane to be in,
They
and
don't
then
know
you
where
got
they're
then
going.
then when I'm trying to get off on 11th Street to come to police headquarters, there's like 2 lanes of traffic coming over here that are trying to merge in.
Yeah.
That is just
Because they're
A
either
mess.
going 70, 71, or
Yes.
670.
35 or 670.
right?
Yeah.
try taking an accident right there and trying to draw that out on a piece of paper. It was awful. Oh my gosh.
How do we write this up, Chief? I don't know.
Little squares,
They were
triangles.
confused. They
and-
were confused.
What's your worst intersection?
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you might have had one.
I'm gonna take you to the see. Let's see how Rosedale you are.
Oh, let's go.
I'm gonna do 43rd and State Line
Really? Why?
because people don't know that that's a turn lane to go south on State Line, and they end up going straight right in front of Cupini's and then want to get over.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah.
Dude, like, and actually there was an accident there
yeah.
2 weeks ago, I think.
Couple weeks ago.
I hate that intersection. Like, and so what happens is, Chief, is at Rainbow and 43rd, you know this. Come
I
on.
know Rainbow
You
43rd.
know-
I miss that
come
Quick
on,
Trip.
let's go.
You know, I remember getting Quick Trip gas there. It
That
was
Quick Trip,
89 cents. It was
yeah,
89 cents.
Do you remember the donut place right by it?
Winchell's?
Let's go.
What?
Man, this is my girl right here, man. We connected for life. So what happens is Rainbow and 43rd, 43rd going east
Right.
toward Westport. Everybody knows who knows that's a turn lane.
Yeah.
So what do? They stay in this. They get into this lane, which is the south lane. There's 2 lanes going east, and they're just to
Going
beat
forward.
the traffic
Yeah.
to get
in the right lane.
And then guess what happened? I love KCK. Don't take this the wrong way, everybody in KCK. They repaved the road, and I had my son drive me to Andy's right there in Westport the other day,
Say less.
and I had to try the lemon tart, D-Rod. It was amazing.
Yeah, was it?
And they repaved the road.
Yeah.
So there's no markings.
Oh man.
So now it's like crazy, and I shouldn't have let my son drive, but I'm trying to get him his driver's license. So anyway, it was crazy. That's the worst intersection, by the way. That is the worst intersection.
That sounds bad. Do you
You-
remember that big tall guy that used to?
Come on, by Hardee's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, Chief.
And then that old McDonald's where it was like a boat.
Yeah.
you remember that?
I remember that.
Now it's a pawn
I grew
shop.
up over there.
Is it a pawn shop?
It's a pawn shop now.
No, the
Well,
McDonald's.
the
Oh,
old
the
Hardee's.
Hardee's. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the old McDonald's. Yeah,
Yeah.
Taco John's.
Yeah. Do you remember the fog?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was down there on the court.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the pool place. We used to play
Yeah.
pool there. Yeah.
You remember
Yeah.
Music Warehouse?
I do. I have so many good memories there. I spent so much hard-earned money there.
My girl, man.
Oh my
Shoot.
gosh! My first job was I lied about my age, and I worked at the movie theater in Seville Square.
Yeah.
In the
Oh,
basement.
yeah,
In the bottom?
Yeah.
By
Yeah.
the arcade?
Yep.
Where the arcade was?
Yeah, there was like
Yes.
Long Branch Saloon down there.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Man, I love that.
Yep.
I love that. All right.
All right.
D-Rod, you got another
Yeah,
question?
I got some stuff. I got some stuff I want to talk or say about you. All right, and this is just for our audience and for people that don't know. All right, so 27 years of service, right? Applaud you for that.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Salute.
Okay, so I'm going to give a little breakdown, some people of you.
Okay.
All right, 1997 is when you started, right? Started with the civilian records clerk. All right, then you went to the academy. All right, you patrol officer for the Central and East Division. All right, became detective. All right,
Hey.
this is all props to you, recognition. Thank you. Became detective with the Vice and the Narcotics Unit. All right, I might be messing some of this up. So
I might
tell-
have
tell
done
me-
a little bit of undercover work during that time.
Okay,
I was going to
well,
ask that. But go ahead.
Okay.
Now I am going
Well,
to
I'll put that on here. All right, undercover as well. All right, 2001, you received the Medal of Valor. All right, incident happened. You had a weapon drawn on you, and you received the medal. Fantastic. All right, applaud you for that.
He disarmed my partner.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you got a medal for that.
Yes, sir.
Commend you for that. 2007, promoted a sergeant. All right. Again, you was in patrol, media unit. You operations sergeant for the you said the
Chief
deputy
Forte.
chief Forte, right? 2014, you got promoted to captain. All right. You were the supervisor of internal affairs department. You also was a human resources. You led the department in media, right? The media unit. All right. 2018, promoted to major. All right, which you served as division commander for the Shoal Creek Division JL, which is over 109,000 residents and over 74 miles.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Right. A lot of
That's
stuff.
awesome.
A lot of stuff. You also assigned social workers to all your 6, right? Well, we talked a little bit about all your patrols in Kansas City. And let me get on these other ones. You got a bachelor's in administration of justice, executive master's in business administrations. You
Wow.
served on the board of the Rosebrook Center, and that's to help victims of domestic abuse.
Yes.
Okay. Like we all know, December 15th, 2022, you earned that permanent position as chief of police.
Yes, sir.
All right. And for those that don't know, the first woman
Yes.
to become a chief of police.
I was 48,
Number 48.
the 48th police chief, in the 148th year of the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department.
You know what that
Coach
is.
Graves, you know what that is?
That's a
That's a salute.
salute.
That's a salute to you.
I know we got to wrap this up. You've been more than grateful with your time. Last thing we got. Tell us you're from Kansas City without telling us you're from Kansas City.
Oh, I had so many things that jumped into my head. I know where to get barbecue, the best Mexican food, and okay. So tell you from Kansas City, from my favorite thing to eat, Z-Man and fries.
Let's
Z-Man.
go.
Okay.
Z-Man.
Z-Man,
That's Kansas City right there.
Z-Man.
Oh, I call it Oklahoma Joe's. It's Casey Joe's, but whatever.
Yeah.
That's Rosedale, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Chief Graves, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, talking to you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Same.
Reintroducing you to people who probably know you already
Yeah.
or remembered you. Before we let you go, absolutely, is there anything you want to say, express real quickly?
I just want everybody to be kind to one another. I know that may sound cheesy, but gosh, if we could all just see the humanity in one another, see what we have in common, not what we don't, I think the world would be a better place.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. Very well said. With that, Enterrupt KC, everybody. JL,
D-Rod.
you already know what it is, everybody. We are out of here. Peace.
Thank you, everybody.